We all know the basics of COVID-19 by now. The novel coronavirus spreads via droplet, which means that if someone with the virus coughs, the droplets of saliva that exit their body can infect people. Since it isn't technically alive, the virus can only survive a few days on non-living surfaces. As for why it's such a nasty thing to catch, the coronavirus tricks the cells lining our lungs into making more copies of itself. It does this by forcing the cells to make a bunch of copies of something called DNA. You can think about DNA like the instructions to a building kit. It tells the cells how to make more of the virus. So many copies, in fact, that eventually the cell bursts. This makes the cell die, but the virus gets to go out and keep infecting more lung cells. Recently, scientists have discovered something new about the virus. It doesn't just infect the lungs like we thought before. When patients with COVID-19 started coming in with fingers and toes that were black and blue, doctors were confused. Most of the time, these kinds of issues only show up in people with frostbite. There were also reports of patients having bad blood clots and strokes, meaning clumps of blood cells were blocking important passageways in their body and keeping parts of it from getting the oxygen they need. It makes sense that a virus like this could be vascular in nature, meaning it impacts blood cells in the system transporting them. Our lungs are what get us oxygen, and through a complicated process, this oxygen diffuses through their passageways and tags onto red blood cells. When the coronavirus gets through to blood vessels by the damage it causes to the lungs, it impacts special cells called endothelial cells that line these areas. These cells release signal proteins that impact blood clotting and trigger our body's immune system. In addition, the virus is activated by a protein called furin. This protein is present in every single cell in our body, so theoretically, every cell is at risk for infection. Other weird symptoms have shown up in scientists' investigations. For example, many patients lose their sense of smell. The virus impacts the cells lining this part of the body and triggers an inflammatory response that can shut passageways and damage sensory neurons. In addition, due to blood vessel infection, people with diseases like diabetes and issues like high blood pressure often suffer far more than other patients. Blood vessel damage is also why ventilators, machines that help patients breathe, don't work by themselves. Diffusion and transport can't work as well with damaged blood vessels, so the body doesn't get all the oxygen it needs. In fact, because the cells lining these blood vessels are rapidly infected, it's super easy for the virus to reach other organs. That could explain why a lot of patients suffer from things like kidney failure. The good thing is, while COVID-19 being a vascular disease is scary, it means we can figure out how to treat it better. Drugs called statins treat endothelial cells and prevent further damage to blood vessels during infection. And when these get paired with other medicines, it can help patients with their recovery. While scientists work on better treatments for COVID-19, we can do a lot to help everyone around us. Wearing a mask over our nose and mouth, keeping 6 feet away from other people, washing our clothes frequently, and taking showers after we've been out in public can all help lower how many people get infected. At the end of the day, the coronavirus is scary, but we can make a difference. We're all in this together, and the better we work to understand this disease, how to treat it, and how to prevent getting it, the better off we'll all be.